Okay, so these three laws, the law of contraposition is when you do something like this. If P implies Q, then it's equivalent to say not Q implies not P. The law of syllogism is if P implies Q and Q implies R, then P implies R. That's similar to one of Euclid's principles, that if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. And then law of detachment just says if P implies Q and Q is true, and P is true, then then P is true. Yeah, then Q is true. I said that right the first time. There we go. Okay, so those are the three laws. Those are the basics. So let's see your statement. If your dishwasher breaks, let's say P is the statement that your dishwasher breaks, then you buy a new one. The statement says you bought a new dishwasher. And the conclusion is that your dishwasher broke. That was P. We've swapped the order. That's not the law of contraposition, right? The law of contraposition says you swap the orders and negate each of the statements. It's not the law of syllogism because it's not A to B, B to C implies A to C. It doesn't make that jump like Euclid's principle does. And the law of detachment isn't happening here because it's the law of detachment would work if you said P is true. If they said that the dishwasher breaks, then we can conclude that you bought a new dishwasher. That would be using the law of detachment. This has been done in reverse, so it didn't meet either of those three categories, so the argument's invalid. And you can think about it logically too. If your dishwasher breaks and you buy a new one, I don't know. I guess you probably don't want to think about it with common sense in these types of problems. They're trying to get you to think about it exactly with like these individual laws, because a person could buy a second dishwasher for somebody else. There's a lot of other possibilities, so maybe that's not a good idea. We'll just stick to the definitions here. Okay, so what type of argument is being made below? I've listed out these: the law of detachment, law of contraposition, which we've talked about, law of disjunctive syllogism. I've got that listed out here. There's a lot of different laws that I can post in the course too, so we can look at all of them. We can go through each one to see which one this more closely represents. So some statement H is implying some statement K is true. And now they're saying that not H is true. So maybe H is they own a house. Then we're told that somebody does not own a house. Is it okay to conclude that they're not statement K? So we've seen that in a couple of the other topics we've done. Newton, just because you know H implies K, it doesn't mean you all of a sudden know something about not H, right? That's the fallacy of the inverse. People think that because we know P implies K, and we have that not P is true, it doesn't necessarily mean that not K is true. I think I wrote down K instead of Q because I was looking up here. This is the fallacy of the inverse. The argument is invalid, okay? We don't know anything about what happens when not H is true. All we know is something happens when H is true.